Morning, folks. Welcome to the Joey Show. I'm Joey Avery. It is your favorite time of the week. It is my favorite time of the week. We get to spend roughly an hour together. Just me, just you, and of course, your young children and elder grandparents who will also love this show because it's for the whole family, let's be honest. This is a family-friendly program, and today we are going to talk about sex and politics. Yes, that's right. Politicians be fucking heavy, raw, and often without the blessing of their significant others. Politics have gotten downright sexy this week, and we need to talk about it. And when I say sexy, I think I mean weird and wrong. There is a lot of political sex scandals going on, and almost none of them are hot, but they are really perfect for us. What are they hot for? Hot, sweet content, and that's what we have for you today, folks. But before we get into that, I want to give a shout out to my sponsor for this, which is Ellen DeGeneres' stand-up comedy special. That's right, streaming on Netflix. Please, no, they're not an official sponsor. Don't sue us. But we do have a clip here to the intro, the introduction to Ellen DeGeneres' return to the public eye, her return to stand-up comedy. Her return to Netflix after she says she was banished from show business. A lot of people banished from show business on Netflix, I found. Where are y'all at on the dregs of YouTube? Huh? Come find us. Was I banned from show business? Is that what's going on? I don't think so. Let's just watch the open to this special because I found it inspirational.
Is the Queen of Nice really the Queen of Mean?
Respond to this with the most insane stories about Ellen being mean.
She's not the happy-go-lucky nice
Ellen DeGeneres under fire again with accusations of a toxic work environment.
Toxic, phony, hypocrite, liar.
Things are really spiraling. Ellen DeGeneres.
Oh, shit! Don't you dare come for the Wicked Witch of the West Hollywood, all right? Don't you dare. That bitch is back. You see that look? Dude, she gave him that. Whew. She's back, dude. I am ready. I wanted to watch the special because I wanted a documentary about the special because I wanted to watch her like throw glass bottles at the janitor who's cleaning up the theater. Now, Ellen here, look, people have gotten public hate for a variety of things. We could put them on a sliding scale, and we could put Diddy on the far end. Diddy was canceled. Okay, did get a sponsorship from Lubriderm, shout out to him for that. He is sharing not to get too distracted from our Ellen special here, but a quick note: reports say that Diddy is sharing a cell with Sam Bankman-Fried, SBF, and Diddy, maybe two SBFs, Sean Buttfucky Combs and Sam Bankman-Fried, the two SBFs, are sharing a cell together in New York, and I'm thinking, if I'm thinking what you're thinking, we need a new coin. I'm buying that coin. Now, that's a crypto coin. That is the type of NFT that I want. We could call it the NDA NFT, and it could only be given out to people who really wish that their legal documents had held up with all the people that they had signed because now they're getting fucked. Yeah, well, where's your lube? Nah! I got to be honest, I have not. I know that the Diddy story has captured the imagination or the memeation of the internet. Everyone is memeing it. Everyone's talking about it. I have really not read one article. I don't know why I can't get into it. Maybe I'm afraid of what I'll find. But I think also it just feels kind of yucky. We can save that for the sex portion. We need to discuss Ellen's special. I did watch a chunk of it. There was some, I wasn't my favorite special. It was not my favorite special. I think that's fair to say. And I'm not being unfair. I'm not canceling her for being mean. I quite frankly don't give a fuck. She went on some really long kind of 80s observational style rants about windshield wipers, kind of Seinfeld era stuff. But there was a moment there where she basically says, hey, I'm going to let you know what's been going on with me. And that's what I was interested in. Then she says she got chickens. Then she talks about chickens for a while. And then she's like, hey, I guess people thought I was mean. I pulled pranks in the office. Now, look, I am not. This isn't CNN. Okay, this isn't CNN. This is not. Maybe, if anything, it's a Chad News Network because you're getting the news from a fucking guy in a puka shell necklace and a Playboy hoodie. I bought this off Instagram several years ago. I've only worn it twice. I thought for the sex episode, this might make sense. It's kind of a nice piece. I bought it because it has this kind of like 70s, like creepy sexual era leisure suit vibes that fit the, it's like, okay, we don't have to talk about Playboy, although I do remember, okay, fondly. And I know some of y'all do too. Back before everyone was just showing whole online for a nickel. You used to have to fight to get your hands on some smut. You used to have to know a guy who had a dad who had serious problems and kept Playboys around the house. And you would get your hands on those. You'd go to the woods and you'd look at boobs like a real man. And it exhilarated you. And it was good for you because you were out there with nature and you were learning about nature. And you were like, what the fuck are those? Because back in the day, fake tits looked like water balloons. In fact, they were water balloons, I believe. I'm not sure on the science. But I'm pretty sure the doctor just went inside the breast there with a super soaker and just pumped you up. But when you were a young man and you got your hands on some of those sticky pages, you got your hands, you just wanted to look at it. You didn't want to do anything dirty, all right? You just wanted to take a peek, okay? Playboy. It held a piece of the imagination. And now what is it? Now they just offer like boob contracts to whenever a girl gets famous. They go to like, they probably went to the Hawk Tuah girl and were like, we'll give you a Cybertruck, I imagine. I don't even know what they're offering these days. Who's paying for that? Who is paying for online porn? The answer to that we'll get to later in the program is actually North Carolina GOP nominee for governor Mark Robinson. Oh, that's going to be fun. Back to Ellen here. Ellen DeGeneres, the intro is this kind of big retrospective. She's kind of throwing herself a party. It's a little self-congratulatory. It's a little I'm back. And she finally does kind of basically say, I guess I am mean a bit. You know, a stand-up comedy special is a tough place to take accountability because that's not really what people want on stage. Granted, if you're doing a theater, you've almost even exited normal stand-up and you're basically just doing a one-person show and you can do whatever the fuck you want. But she doesn't take a whole lot of accountability in this, and that's not why we're here. I don't really give a fuck. The thing wasn't that funny. I'll tell you what was funny, and that's this.
And I'm impatient, and I'm demanding, I'm direct. I'm a strong woman.
What the fuck? What is that? How did that go on for that long? I'm a strong one. Dude, I want to run down. I mean, what are comments you can make that would just get that level of I spent a Saturday night not drinking. I had a no wipe poo. I finally responded to all my texts and emails. I mean, it's unbelievable. And I think it's so funny to watch that happen to somebody, but there is a larger point here, right? This is where we've landed in society because there is no mainstream that remains. Essentially what you have is a bunch of people who people are fans of. And that's okay, and that's fine, and that's good. And those people become kings of tiny little kingdoms. And there's a million little kingdoms. It's like the fucking feudal era once again, okay? There's 1,000 tiny little kingdoms, and then every once in a while those kings will go to war with the other ones, then those fans will get mad. And then there's a whole nother group of people who just provide commentary on the kingdoms and decide that these people have lost their mind or whatever. And then you get hate. And then the kings of these kingdoms become, where is all this hate coming from? We must smite the uninitiated. This is unfair. We must rally the troops. And then their fans get more fired up because they're like, yes, how dare you come for our king? And then you just end up in these crazy worlds where most people are watching this special going, what the fuck was that? Unless you're an Ellen DeGeneres fan or just generally, and no offense to these people, but a general left-leaning, boomerish aged lady, you hear strong woman and you're like, fucking, yeah! Like, that fires you up, okay? That fires you up. It's like when any, Republican dude hears Trump say one mean thing to a minority, and they're like, fucking finally someone said. Like, they just hear strong woman and they lose their minds, okay? Like, they are wetting their Chico panties when they say, okay, that's a lot. But look, that's not the point. It's just become this thing where a lot of people can see something and go, what the fuck is that? But not realizing that there are enough people that are in that world that loved Ellen, that thought all of it was bullshit, that think, hey, what, she was mean to some staffers? I'm going to take what she has to say for it. Because she's just saying, I had nothing to do with that. And then everyone's coming for her, and people loved her. A lot of people loved her. That was daytime mommy. You were packing the kids' lunches, and you were just sick of your life. You were sitting there packing your kids' lunches. You have 3 kids. You wanted 2. Your husband wanted 3. He said, 2 girls, I need a boy. You've always thought that was a little misogynistic, and maybe it was, and he kind of is. He doesn't support your causes. He belittles you at the dinner table. He speaks over you. He's at work all the time. He says, hey, I'm the one who put fucking food on the table. Make the lunches and shut the fuck up. Well, you like watching little Ellen. You want someone who's a little bit of girl power. She's so girl power, she says, I never even needed a dick. I never even needed a dick in my life. I'm a puss gal. And she's fun. She has all the cool celebrities on. Wouldn't it be cool to be Ellen? You get to wear stylish sneakers and the right jeans and a tasteful blazer. And you get to have fun and you get to meet all your heroes. All your heroes. And you know what you get? For that little moment while you're packing up those little lunches, you get to see a happy lady dance. And she wants to spread a little joy. And you needed that joy. You needed that joy because you haven't felt it in years. Because the quiet suburban life that you wanted, well, it ended up not being all it was cracked up to be. Maybe you wanted a little sense of adventure. Maybe you feel like your youth got robbed a little bit. And maybe you want your voice to matter. And maybe Ellen was a pleasant but forceful conduit to that. And no goddamn news article about the PAs thought she was being dismissive of us or didn't give black people a voice. You said, that's not my fight. I'm a white woman in a gated community. I don't give a shit about that. I ride for Ellen because she rides for me. And you know what? Maybe she wouldn't like me if she met me, but I like her and I care for her. And maybe you're always going to ride for her. So when she says I'm a strong woman, you fucking clap your fucking hands off. And you get loose. And that's the night out that you've been wanting for a long time. You got Marsha and the gals together. You said, fuck it, let's get 2 charcuterie boards. You don't give a shit. It's girls' night out. Fuck Jeff. You know he's at home drinking too much bourbon, being a dick. He's an asshole. He wasn't this way when you met him. What happened to Jeff? Of course, your son ended up being gay and a dancer, and Jeff's not happy about that. Well, that's Jeff's problem. I support the gays like my hero, Ellen DeGeneres. So you don't care what other people have to say. You're not going to let them take down your hero. And so you're going to love this special. You're going to love this special because she says, guess I am a little rough around the edges. I had to fight. I'm a woman. I'm a fighter. But if you're not in that world, you'll just go, well, she didn't really address anything at all, and she just kind of jerked herself off in a slow, methodical way, that in which a way that a woman must do, and that's fine. And she told not very many funny jokes, and she made the thing very self-centered and about her, and you're not going to like it so much. But I'll tell you what, I fucking like it. I like it because I haven't been that fired up to watch a special in some time just because of the beginning. I want my own beginning like that. I want my own beginning. I want to start every podcast by bringing up any negativity that I've faced and just take it and make me the victim, even if they're correct at all about it. I do think that's the correct way to do things, right? Not as a human being, but in the public eye. And these might be two very different concepts. I think that the best way to have a career in a big mainstream public platform is to do the direct reverse of what is healthy for your mind, body, soul, and personal relationships. That's what I think on the global scale. I think Trump has taught us this, but people act like Trump invented the idea of skirting responsibility and sprinting towards only the people that like you, although he is one of the best. Mark Robinson, someone who he has supported, has done just that. But before we even get to that, I do want to touch on something that has happened in the Trump and Kamala race, which is that people are mad at Chappell Roan. Okay, if you don't know, Chappell Roan is Pink Pony Club. I believe that is her song. Outspoken artist, supportive of queer and trans identity movements. I believe that she I believe she considers herself queer. I am not an expert on Chappell Roan. I didn't even know who she was until she was in a controversy a couple weeks ago, and as we've covered on this program, I don't know everything about everything, but I am a messy little bitch who loves drama, and I did see this. She got in trouble because she not in trouble, but it inflamed an online debate because she essentially posted something saying, hey, I'm glad that I have people who are fans, but I don't think that I owe you guys my entire sanity, and the fact that people think they can interrupt me at whatever moment and ask for a picture or run up and touch me and hug me and freak the fuck out and think that they're entitled to my space. Well, you're not. Fuck you. And if you're being a creep, then you can kick rocks and suck it. And some people were like, you make millions of dollars, you need to support your fans or whatever. And it's like, or she's allowed to say what she wants, and she seems like she does appreciate her fans. She just doesn't appreciate the very small amount of them who are being creepy, weird people who don't deserve to speak for all normal human beings who are fans of people. Let's remember that even though we all have parasocial relationships that are rotting our brains, just because you see someone through the tiny square on your phone doesn't mean you own them, okay? It's a good idea. That being said, do you make millions of dollars off of people and realize that some of it comes with the territory? Sure. As always, I get it, but don't be a fucking weirdo. Now, she has not endorsed Kamala Harris. People don't like that very much. People do not like that very much. I know a lot of people are waiting on my endorsement. Well, I endorse following RFK Jr. on Snapchat and sending him nudes. We're going to get to that story later. So much sex in politics. But first, Chappell, she basically said, look, I have found myself disillusioned by both parties. I believe she said something along the lines of, I think that the fact that any straight people are making legislation surrounding trans people is insane. Both parties I find to leave more wanting or whatever, and then it just pissed a lot of people off because they're like, okay, well, does that mean that you're supporting, not supporting Kamala in a two-person race means that you're then supporting Trump, and how could you support that given all the negative stuff that they do towards members of the gay community, to which I say I think the most valuable thing she could do for the gay community is support Donald Trump. I'm going to tell you why. I don't think a lot of Chappell Roan fans are waiting to determine whether they should vote for Trump or not based on her. I don't think that there are many people in the voting for Trump camp that are big fans of her and her message. So I'm not sure how important it is, and I do think it is acceptable to note that just because one party really sucks, that doesn't mean you have to show up and pretend like you're completely happy with a party that maybe you're also disillusioned with. I think that's okay. There's more than two political beliefs you can have in this country. You do have to be a realist about it. But here's why a real realist would advise Chappell Roan to support Trump. Okay? I know people think Trump is anti-gay, but he will suck any dick in the West if it helps him out. Donald Trump is nothing if not basically a people-pleasing vortex. He love who love him, and he love them bad. If people show Trump love, he starts to appreciate them. Even people who hated Trump. Who hates Trump the most? I'm trying to think. Stephen Colbert, any of the late night hosts. He's always like, Colbert, bad ratings, very bad ratings. People don't like Stephen very much. Dead, dying, stupid, silly, juvenile CBS late night shows. It's a good thing they're dead. I can go to sleep now. Don't need to stay up watching that garbage. People don't like Stephen. Of course, no one's watching any late night shows because they suck ass. But if Stephen Colbert was like, screw it, I like Trump, Trump would be like, very good. One of the best late nights to ever do it. They're calling Stephen Colbert the next Johnny Carson. People love Stephen. Stephen Colbert, very smart. One of the few libtards to figure out who's actually here to save the country. Stephen, very smart. Go on the show. Good ratings. Some of the best ratings. Bringing back television. I reinstalled TV just to watch Stephen. That's just kind of how he would do it. So if Chappell Roan were to support him and Trump right now, pretty close race, all of a sudden he started seeing a lot of support from the gay community, knowing he wouldn't really lose the ride, I'm pretty sure Trump would be like, we're going to brunch, folks. We're going to brunch, not just any brunch, drag brunch, one of the greatest brunches to go to, drag, dressing up like a lady. What's a more beautiful lady than a man? Big, broad shoulders, one of the strongest men that I've ever seen. His name is Dark Timber. Dark Timber, they call him. He has a big black piece of wood, but he wears a beautiful dress, beautiful, stunning dress. Looks great in his Christian Louboutin shoes. What are those? Red bottom shoes. Red for the Republican Party. That's one of the things. Elephant trunk. He's hiding one in his pants. He's voting for the elephants. We're the elephants, folks. We are the elephants, and you will hear us roar. Drag brunch, my favorite brunch. I don't always like to go to brunch, but when I do, I say, make it drag if you'll have a brunch. That's the type of brunch we like to do. Like now that's progress. Say what you want. Okay, you should. Chappell Roan probably get some blowback in the short term, but long term, this could be huge. Everybody could be gay at the Pink Party Club, I believe. So it's just a thought. I think it's a great thought. And that's just strategy. But I'm here playing 3D chess, 4D chess. I think every game of chess is 3-dimensional, unless of course you're playing on the computer. That's really not something that we need to spend a lot of time on. But I'm playing 4D chess here. Okay, so Chappell, get it out there. Give it a shot, dude. Give it a shot, okay? Think about the movement long term. Be the change you wish to see. speaking of the gay movement, we are going to have to talk about Mark Robinson. Mark Robinson, if you don't know, and I might get some of this wrong, but I promise I'll get the parts that we care about right. Because again, here on the Joey Show, we are your only news network. We don't get the news right, but we get it fun, all right? And that's what we do here. This guy, I believe he is a GOP candidate for governor, but he also is the Sticky Keyboards candidate of the year. My boy has enjoyed a little bit of pornog, dude. Some of his positions: complete abortion ban, anti-trans, anti-gay, in theory. Because at the same time, North Carolina Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, a.k.a. Mini Soldier, MINISOLDR, the Mini Soldier, okay? Want to talk just out here about what a crazy move it is for a public official to have an alias that he has used on Twitter to comment under things like a Washington Post transgender wrestler wins second Texas State Girls Championship, so violence against women is now a sport. I'm the majority. He uses it on YouTube. He's used it on Black Planet. He's also used it on Nude Africa, where he was active on the message board. Now, I would like to take a moment to pause real quick just to say one thing, two things, 15 to 17 things. Pornography is probably, without a doubt, very, very bad for you. Right? Probably, without a doubt, very, very bad for you. Now, also, it's something that a large percentage of the population uses and can have positive effects, namely the main pharmaceutical for male mental clarity and function, which is releasing the chamber and achieving post-nut clarity. So I'm not to say that there aren't significant benefits, and I'm also not to say that sex workers should be treated with dignity and all these things. Okay? Understood. Now, it's probably not good for you to engage in porn all the time. Moderation. Sometimes you like to get your little freak on. You might not have a partner in your life that is willing to help you achieve release. You might be a guy who lives alone in a large room of wall-mounted flashlights. There's a variety of things that could be going on here, and I'm not to talk about every single situation, but I do think I can say this with complete clarity. If you are partaking in the message boards of a porn website, you, my friend, go straight to jail. Straight to jail. Straight to jail. We're not here to chat. We're not here to talk. You come here for a quick and specific purpose. You release and you bounce. This is not where we make friends. We're not here for a play date. This is not networking. You got to get something off your chest? Grab a diary, brother. Do not participate in conversations on porn websites. That's not what they're for. You want to talk dirty to people? Don't. So he was on Nude Africa, a pornographic website that includes a message board. The comments were made under Mini Soldier, a moniker he uses frequently online. If you are going to do that, please make an alias. Who's using the same thing as your Twitter account? What are we doing? So what ends up being interesting here is because he's if he was like a guy who was just like, yeah, fucking do whatever you want, then I guess it's like, well, this is embarrassing, but whatever. Everyone's got a little freak in them. That's okay. That is okay. But he was telling some stories. Okay, let me pause right here because the article I'm looking at does not have it exact, and I want to get it exact. All right. Okay. Yo, these are crazier than I thought. I had heard. All right, man. I need to. Okay, these are. Okay, these are wild. I might need to compose myself a little bit. Now, I had heard some. I had listened to some news reports about these. There are some rich moments here. We're gonna cover some of the more PG ones here up top. We're going to get into some insane ones that I just found online that were not covered verbatim on the news podcasts that I was listening to, given that they don't have that dog in them, and they're not going to read these verbatim like I will. So make sure that, again, it's a family program here. So if your grandma or children are still in the car this far in, after my Trump drag brunch speech, we are going to ask that they leave now because some of these Mark Robinson posts are something else. Let's just say that. So there were a few that I had heard. Now, the initial one, some of the richer ones were he said he was a black Nazi. That's not great. Obvious reasons. I don't think we really need to dive into that. There's a lot of things that are not great about that in an elected official. Any Nazi, to be fair. Black Nazi, interesting, but could you imagine the outfits? I mean, we're taking Hugo Boss and infusing a little culture into it. I mean, talk about an outfit. Daddy's in. But no, that's not what he was talking about. He was mad when Obama put a Martin Luther King statue out, which is interesting. I thought we were generally on the same page with Dr. King, left, right, center. But no, he said get that commie off the National Mall, which is rich considering that Donald Trump called Mark Robinson and Martin Luther King Jr. on steroids, which, yeah, I would say probably not a great, probably not an accurate historical read on Dr. King's legacy. Maybe an interesting perspective on what happens to the brain when one does steroids. Maybe taking some of the let's read this charitably. This is what people always do with Trump. He says something insane, and then people are like, let's figure it out because he has to be right. Maybe he's saying that MLK had some extramarital affairs and only in that specific region add steroids, and then maybe we have Mark Robinson. Now, he also he's been anti-trans, but he basically admitted that he likes cranking it to trans pornography. So that's always an interesting kind of 1-2 punch right there. Now, let's get into some of the specifics here. I should note that Mr. Robinson is just saying that this is like AI and it's digital terrorism or something, which, if we're going to give a fair read to that, is interesting that almost all of his staffers are bouncing because they're like, yeah, this dude's cooked. And this apparently had come up in opposition research before, but they didn't bring it up because Trump was supporting him. That's not what you guys care about on this show. That's not what we care about. We're here for the tea. Now, let's start off with something. Again, we're going to get a little graphic here, folks. If you need to fast forward, that's fine. Let's start with this post here on Nude Africa. My wife's sister from September 27th, 2010. We're almost coming up on the anniversary here. I am currently having an affair with my wife's sister, and I just needed a place to say out loud that, in all caps, she has the best smelling, best tasting pussy and asshole in the universe. Quite a review. Quite a review. This makes me think that Yelp for affairs is an interesting idea. Post pics, maybe people can all rate it. I mean, what is going on? Do we think this is true, or do we think he's acting out? Do we think he's just acting out fantasies? Well, if he is, Let's talk about some of the fantasies here. Had me another hot morning with the wife's sister. She brought along her laptop this time, and we watched some vids here on NA. Dude, Africa, shout out. A little bit of brand loyalty for the fam. The one that really got us hot was called Wet Anal. Okay. Folks, that's a lot. That's a lot for me. That's a lot for me right now. Is it the one thing anal is missing? Sure. You could say. I mean, that's like a sugar-free tiramisu. What are we getting? Everything all at once here? All right, wet anal. That vid got her pussy soaking wet, and y'all know what I did, right? That ass was wet, slick, and good and pissy. And I licked and sucked that pussy asshole till my face was covered with her funky juices. Then she sucked my dick till it was good and hard, then lubed it down with wet. Then she laid back while I greased that asshole with her pussy juice and wet. Watching my big dick slide in and out of that asshole takes my breath away. It looks so good. We ass fuck a lot, but she gave me a nasty, sexy surprise this time. Right when I was really pumping the dookie chute good, she shot a long, hot stream of piss up in the air that covered my chest and stomach. It was so fucking hot. She was coming and I was coming. She was pissing and I was covered in piss and pussy juice and lube. Damn, this girl is good and I can't wait next week to go get some more. That should have been in the Ellen special, honestly. I feel like that would have been an interesting, 55 minutes of just clean, and then, there's one thing that I like. If there's one thing that I could have been canceled for, it's wet anal. Okay, I can't do an Ellen impersonation. I don't know if this was a good move for the show. And the only thing to do is read one more. But god damn, bro. I mean, Mini Soldier is getting buck. I hope it's not true about the wife's sister. Maybe he's, maybe he's adding an element of, maybe he's heightening it. Maybe that's him and his wife. Maybe this is some beautiful, intramarital, sanctioned, wet anal. This show is going to get removed from the internet. But first, one more post from Mini Soldier. This is Friday, September 23rd, 2011. Love September. This guy, he knew his anniversary was coming up. Okay. The piss thing is more common than most people think and many want to admit. I have a FB that loves to lay on her stomach, spread open her ass, and have me piss all over her asshole and pussy. The longer and hotter the stream, the more she loves it. Sometimes, well, yes, of course. I mean, I'm not into it. But, once you're into something, you want that pure... it's like once people get really into movies and they're like, well, you haven't seen French cinema. It's like you want the real thing. Like if you're into pee, you're not going to be like, well, I don't want a medium, warm, short, piddly stream. You're going to be like, let's go to the farmer's market and get some asparagus. Okay? This news program. She loves it. Sometimes she lies on her back and fingers herself, and when she's about to come, she wants me to piss a hard, fast stream on her clit and up her asshole. Of course, I love for her to piss on me as well, of course. He's not selfish. And that's one of the things. The left is always like, the GOP is, they're all about themselves. They're not about the people. Tell me he's not giving back. Tell me he's not giving back. He's not going to sit and get pissed on without a little for himself. I love for her to watching her asshole flexing out while she shoots her hot piss onto my chest gets me rock hard. I don't know if I can keep doing this. Oh God. Oh God. I have to do this. Okay. We've lost everybody here. Another thing she does that might seem strange is that this is political news, by the way. Democracy dies in darkness, I think. Washington Post slogan. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you guys here at all. I'm going to give you the news, and this is news right here. Another thing that she does that might seem strange is that when we hang out, she will sometimes wear her pussy juice like perfume, meaning she will smear it behind her ears, on her neck, and on her wrists, so that every time I get near her, I smell her delightful scent. I don't want to say something smells fishy about these reports, but you could say something like that if you were going to. Do we have his response? Let's find his response here. Mark Robinson response. Now, because, come on. We need a video of this. I need to see this man speak. I don't want to smell it, but I want to see it.
Hey guys, Lieutenant Governor Robinson and your Republican nominee for governor as well, of course. Well, guys, the news media is at it again. My opponent is at it again. You all have seen the half-truths and outright lies of Josh Stein on these ads over and over again. And now a story leaked by him to CNN is appearing now. Let me reassure you, the things that you will see in that story, those are not the words of Mark Robinson. You know my words, you know my character, and you know that I have been completely transparent in this race and before. Folks, this race right now, our opponents are desperate to shift the focus here from the substantive issues and focus on what you are concerned with to salacious tabloid trash. We cannot allow that to happen. And folks, we've seen this type of stuff in the past as well. Clarence Thomas famously once said he was the victim of a high-tech lynching. Well, it looks like Mark Robinson is too, by a man who refuses to stand on stage and debate me about the real issues that face you. Instead, they want to focus on salacious tabloid lies. We're not going to let them do that. We are staying in this race. We are in it to win it. And we know that with your help, we will. God bless you. And we will see you where? On the campaign trail.
So there it is. Mark Robinson says no. That is not me, 100% not me. And I think, quite frankly, he needs to do exactly what Ellen did. I think he needs to drop an hour-long comedy special. He needs to start with the same exact graphics, but it's just all of his comments. And it's just like, they said I like getting pissed on my chest. They said that I loved trans people because it was like adding even more woman to it or something like that. They said all that. Well, that's not true, kind of. I'm back. And he does the full Ellen, okay? And at one point, 45 minutes in, he's been doing his thing. He's been doing his shtick. He's been talking about everything. And at one point, he stands up in front of everybody. And he says, you know what, guys? I guess I am. I guess I am a victim. I guess I'm a victim of loving too much. I guess I am a victim of taking care of my wife's whole family holes. Maybe I am a victim. Maybe, I guess, I'm just a strong, independent piss pig trying to make it in this economy. Deny. It's all you can do. Do not ever tell the truth in the public eye. Will that ruin all of your relationships and your spirit and soul and grind you down as a human being because you're not living in accordance with the things that you know are good and right, which means that you will have a giant cloud hanging over your entire life that you will never fully be able to escape because you will know that you're not the person that you're pretending to be, and that will weigh on you and it will have effects on you negative, physically, spiritually, emotionally, career-wise. It will be something that stands in between you and loving as much as you can and being as good of a lieutenant governor as you can, okay, and taking care of your health and being connected with yourself. Sure. Still the best playbook in the modern political environment. That's unfortunate, but true. Mark. There is this thing that happens so frequently, and it's so rich, and it's really not funny when you're having your rights taken away, but it is people who are really triggered and against something that are also like, well, I might have a crankety little diddly-doo to it online. And I think, not a psychologist, I think it's probably dehumanization across the board. and it's probably people seeing a group as less than and finding their entire being to be dirty and nasty and hot, and not seeing them as full people, and then also wanting to take away their rights as a reflexive move based on their own shame. That's what it would seem like to me. Now, that's not my take on the entirety of any of these large and complex issues, but as we speak about it in the case of a particular person, or in particular these groups of people that are secretly engaging activities that they're publicly against, well, makes sense to me. Someone who has never been shy about wanting that sweet hot box, RFK Jr., Robert F. Kennedy, Captain Stabbin' the Third, but also no jab for him. RFK has been caught up in another sexual scandal that has taken over DC. I don't want this show to be politics every week. We can do some sports. We can do other things. We do spirituality. We do life. But this week, politics were hot, steamy, and sexy, and really not in ways that are that hot or steamy or sexy. RFK Jr., set down the computer for this one. I think I've got it on lock. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who has recently supported Donald Trump dropping out of the race, probably knowing some of this was coming, not that he was going to win, is involved in a scandalous scandal with Olivia Nuzzi, who is a reporter who reported on him, wrote a profile on him that actually included, and I do have to pull back out the laptop because I want to get this actually exact. But backstory for this, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is married to Cheryl Hines, apparently was receiving a large batch of nudes from Olivia Nuzzi, who is, again, a reporter. This signifies a conflict of interest. It also ended up being interesting that she in the past had posted a tweet about House of Cards saying, "Why does Hollywood always insist that female reporters are sleeping with the subjects that they cover?" Well, they're not, but you are. So, interestingly enough, she sends him a barrage of nude photos. He is claiming, in an effort to save face and relationship, that she was sending him so many nudes that he is going to file a lawsuit and that he blocked her, and it was basically online harassment. RFK, 70-something, just getting hit with nudes from an attractive young reporter, and just just weighed on him. Just absolutely weighed on the man. Just killed him. Just knowing him, a man who has had somehow like 30 affairs in a month, and cataloged all of them. This is true. You can read about it. He, with his first wife, I think he had affairs almost like, it was like any day that he didn't have an affair, he was like, that's a fucking dub, dude. Like, that's an absolute dub. He has spoken about it. He said he's fixed it, but he's an interesting guy, we shall say. And so now it's this whole thing that's going to play out where he's going to say she was just doing it. She was attacking him with them. She became obsessed. And I believe that her argument is that they had a digital but non-physical relationship that was not one-sided. She wrote a profile of him. This is when they met. So this is how it started off. She described him as a Franken candidate Trump helped create and called a drive they took together the longest 2-mile car ride of my life due to his minivan being a death machine that smells so bad I thought I might pass out after about 15 seconds because the vehicle had been run ragged by 3 enormous dogs. But sometime after this stinky encounter, her community with RFK Jr. turned personal. She claims that their relationship was never physical and it did not begin until after her profile, but she's been placed on leave. I'm sure Washington is abuzz. I have nobody over there. I have no fucking clue. But yeah, I think this is a great, historic, all-time piece of negging. If you don't know what negging is, it's apparently something that creepy people do to try and capture the opposite sex It's the weirdest way to meet somebody, but you basically be mean to them, and they're like, what the fuck? And then they're like, wait, but love me. And then they come back, and apparently that's what happened here. She was like, his van stinks, and he sucks, and he's not a real political candidate, and he rambles. And then according to him, she just starts spamming nudes because she was like, them pheromones in that van. Boy, shit. I don't know why that's her voice now. She's like, boy, shit, them pheromones in that van got my puss all wet. Maybe it was that stank. Maybe it was that same stank that Mark Robinson was talking about. Maybe she rubbed some of that dog stank behind the ears and she just couldn't get enough of it. And she was just like, I'm going crazy. I have got to show this 70-something-year-old who I eviscerated his serious aspirations of. He needs to see the box or I will never be able to live with myself. And he is saying that he was like, this is disgusting, and he blocked her, but then he unblocked her because she was like, I have some important information, and he was like, I gotta see it. And then she was like, is that pussy though? And he was like, shit. And then he blocked her again, but then he unblocked her again. She's like, I have some important information. He's like, what is it? And she's like, it's these chitties, boy. And so that's it. And apparently he was bragging about getting the photos. Now, people are finding this to be the most disgusting thing. Not the most disgusting, but a disgusting part of it. I will say this. If through no fault of your own, someone in the industry is just sending you nudes out of left, it's probably going to be relatively hard not to be like, kind of a weird thing going on here. I can't imagine him bragging about sexual stuff. He's like, oh, well, I shouldn't do that. Well, either way, the fact that I can smell this story, I find disgusting. This has been a gross day on the program. Even another thing that happened on the Hill, Nancy Mace, right-wing congressperson, apparently, this is the same week, by the way. Mark Robinson, RFK, and apparently Congresswoman Nancy Mace, the Vanderbilt professor Michael Eric Dyson blasted her on CNN for showing disregard for the humanity of black people for repeatedly mispronouncing Kamala. Mace struck back with this text exchange. She crops out the last thing, which is not nice. She sends 5 photos of her with this exact man who blasted her on CNN, and he says, shh, don't tell anybody. We look good together. Exclamation, crying face, kissy face. Now, that's how a 60-year-old politics nerd spits. I'm most offended by the tennis shoes he's wearing with a full suit in the photo. I am not going to lie to you. But just an absolute swing. And she says, ha, 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 ha. He says, ha, ha, and then adds, well, your gorgeousness makes the photos. So there's that, exclamation, smiley face. Man, this is some straight up sad old man behavior. And I don't know his marital status, and if he's single, do your best. This is like single old man live, laugh, love levels of whatever the fuck, and it's sad to see. But then when you go out and call someone racist, bro, you gotta know she's coming back. Maybe he was trying to neg her. Maybe he was like, maybe this is what's going on in politics. Is it possible? Is it possible that they are negging each other in public just to try to smash in private? Is that how this has all been going on? I was curious. I was like, this feels like a lot of sex. This feels like a lot of big sex on Capitol Hill. So I wanted to see if this had always happened in politics. And I went through, and yeah, the answer to that is yes. There have been sexual scandals throughout politics through time immemorial. We're going to focus specifically on America. But of course, that's not surprising, is it? People fuck, and if you're in politics, people will use that to blackmail you. This is well-trod territory. What I didn't realize and what I don't want to talk much about, although if you're interested, there's a decent amount from 1796 to 1899. A lot of those political sex scandals are deeply and horrifically screwed up with intense racial undertones, and all of it is very, very bad. I do think I found one of the worst guys in American history. This is James H. Hammond. Worth a look. I don't really want to dive too deep into it because it's too dark and just not fun, and I don't really want to riff on it. But let's just say briefly that he was incredibly pro-slavery. Founded the phrase "Cotton is King." He was the 60th governor of South Carolina. He has several. He R-worded one of his slaves, and then R-worded that slave's daughter. Had daughters with many of them. Also, did the same with his 4 nieces. He described his experience with his 4 nieces as a little dalliance and blamed them for being young and affectionate. This is horrible, horrible, horrible stuff. The only reason that I bring it up is because he was ostracized from public society for a while after that, and then elected senator later. Ugh. That doesn't feel good at all. You know, they didn't teach us about that. They didn't bring that up in my high school history class. And there are a lot of people in this country who would say, don't teach that because that's not who we are. And I agree, that's not who we are as a people. But worth noting that type of person can and did exist and was elected after the fact. That's just kind of horrible. Not fun for a comedy podcast. But guys, this is my brain, and I was on Wikipedia. And that's not nice to see, but I did see it. Boy, have so many of our presidents had documented affairs. I mean, my God. Let me see if I can do just a quick speed run here. President Andrew Jackson had some. I think that was more. Sorry, I'm going to strike his from the record. His was a little more unique. Really, the reporting on this started getting buck in the 60s. But, okay, so we start really tracking this a little bit late. Woodrow Wilson had an affair. Warren G. Harding had affairs. Senators we don't care about. There's too many of them. President Franklin D. Roosevelt had multiple extended extramarital affairs. No wonder my boy was in that wheelchair. My boy was cranking them hips for a long time. He got arthritis of the peen bone. What? Drink your milk. How about I supply some? For that chest piece. What's going on, Franklin? You crazy for that, Delano? Franklin, John F. Kennedy, that we know. John F. Kennedy, multiple affairs, shot in the head, hands it over to Lyndon B. Johnson, extramarital affairs with multiple women. I didn't know all of this. I feel like we give Bill Clinton too much shit just because he was recent. And to be honest, if you look at all of that going on with frequency, I think, despite the Mark Robinsons and RFKs of the world allegedly on both cases, we've actually cleaned it up. Probably just because people are afraid now. Probably just because of the internet. I think if it wasn't for the internet, these dudes would still be, because it would just be like, hey, what? Come on, news reporter. Do you want access to the story or not? If you want access to the story, you're going to shut your little mouth about me and Marilyn Monroe getting buck. So yeah, I guess everyone is gross is our large takeaway from today. So that's a nice uplifting message. I thought this would be more fun than it has been. But I'm having fun. Football, let's do it. Thursday night game tonight, as you're watching this. The game is the Cowboys versus the New York Giants. I'm going to look up this spread right now so that we can place a bet. We are 1-1 on our Thursday night games. Giants coming off a hot win and at home, plus 5.5. Dallas is reeling after getting bent over by the Ravens, destroying the Browns, who now the Giants beat. So Dallas is minus 5.5 on the road. We don't love that. Giants feeling themselves, a little momentum, maybe a little get-back game. I do not think that the Giants are a good team. I don't think Dallas is going to blow them out, but I'll take Cowboys by at least a touchdown. We're riding with the favorites, Dallas minus 5.5. Let's go to 2-1 in the season. Let's also bring up the how wet is Dave Canales' dick going to get meter? And this week, we have something beautiful to report. This week, what we've been rooting for all along has come to fruition. This week, Dave Canales, through his belief, his religious belief, his communion with the Lord, his recommitment to his marriage, to writing a book about cheating with his wife, crazy idea, that's what he did. This week, it came through because he benched little Bryce Young, and he put in the Red Rocket himself, Andy Dalton, his savior, Ginger Jesus. The Red Rocket has come back to save Dave Canales and his meandering PP. The Dave Canales is going to get his dick wet meter is all the way down to 15 out of 100. That's what we like to see, okay? Carolina Panthers rolled on the Las Vegas Raiders. A lot of people had that, all right? I stayed away from the game. I didn't trust it. Andy Dalton, competent quarterback, can play a little football. Bryce Young, having trouble still. So that's tough for Bryce, but Dave is safe this week. He's sheathed his penis. He is in a safe harbor. And we do have one more football topic. Of course, I will be at Sunday Night Football this week. Ravens, Bills, if you're going to be there, if you're one of the 12. Shout out to the 12, Hunter Biden and the 12. Hunter Biden, our fearless leader, who has, of course, liked one of our clips here at the Joey Show. Hunter Biden, leader of the 12. I'm going to make a graphic, throw it up here. Look at that. Look at that. Tell me that's not great. Hunter and the 12s will be out there. Let me know if you're going to be there. But here's what it is. Interesting college football story. Matthew Sluka, I'm not going to say his name right because I don't give a shit, because he played 3 games for UNLV after transferring from Holy Cross, kind of this new era of college football. Got his degree from Holy Cross, goes, I'm going to go to UNLV, play my final year. I can still ball. One of those quarterbacks who's not going to the league but says, hey, let me make some NIL money. I'm a seasoned vet. I know how to play the goddamn game. Let me take over the Rebels. Let me go to Vegas. Let me roll the dice on my career. 3-0. Playing hot ball in the desert. Had an NIL deal. Apparently the coaches reneged on the NIL deal or said, we're not going to pay you what we had initially told you we were going to pay you. And he said, fine, bitch, I'm redshirting. Saving himself for another season to play for another kind of team that needs a veteran quarterback. And this is one of those sports topics that has set people ablaze. You got half the people saying, fuck you, it's a team sport. NIL has ruined college sports. This is that selfish mentality. You weren't even that good anyway. Spend that money on throwing lessons, you biznatch. And other people saying, good. These coaches are predatory as hell. Don't overpromise and underdeliver. Don't do that. We don't like that. So what do you think? What do you think about this? If you care about football, throw in a comment. Of course, leave us a like, a rate, a review here. Subscribe. You're the Joey Show. I think that we don't know. Hot take, folks. A very hot take. I think it really comes down to what the agreement was, and it probably is not in either party's interests, and they might not even legally be allowed to say what it is. It really does come down to the situation, because the coach is full-on effed him. Then yeah, he's not going to the league. He has one chance to make money, and he has spent his entire life on this skill, and he knows he's good, and his stock is kind of high because they were playing good football. That's a great move, I think. Even if people will say it's selfish, you got to think about your teammates. Well, you know what? It is a business. Someone's making money, and I got lied to. On the other hand, if he's like, hey, we're up to 3-0, we're playing well, I want a little more. I want to do this. You guys aren't playing ball with me. Then he is a piece of shit. I don't know the answer to that. I know it is changing college sports, and it is ruining it to some degree, but we've already talked about this on the show. Maybe it's an accurate approximation for how the world works. And what I would say to him is if people don't like it, just make a montage. If people don't like it, just make a montage about the haters and tell them to fuck off. A montage can save everything. Center yourself. Offer very little reflection. Center yourself in it and just show what you've been going through. That's what Ellen did. That's what Mark Robinson will do. And that's what college football players already do. Every single person who has even a minute following, who has eyes on them at all, myself included, has a radically and irreparably deformed brain. And that's all of us now. That's the bad news. We have made social media so that everyone is their own PR person. We all do it now. This is what we do. We all have to make a, hey guys, just wanted to hop on here real quick, let y'all know where I'm at, let y'all know what's going on in my space. We all have to do it. I'm not even saying it's a bad thing or it's a changeable thing. It's where we are now. We are all kings of our own tiny kingdom. So if life is getting you down, if people are up your ass, if your boss is like, oh, I'm firing you because you're stealing things. If your significant other is like, oh, I'm breaking up with you because you're a lowly piece of shit who got fired for stealing things, and also I heard rumors you're cheating. If your landlord is like, oh, I'm kicking you out because you're not paying the rent. Fuck the haters. Fuck the haters right up the ass. Give them some wet anal. And when people don't like it, you sit down, you plant your feet, and you hire an editor on Fiverr to make a goddamn montage so that nobody ever fucks with you again. And when that montage is over, you stand up and you just say one thing about who you are. You say, hey, I'm just a man who's not that good at things. Sorry for being human. Thank you very much. That has been this week's Joey Show. Please give us a like, a comment, a subscribe, all that. You know, we need it to support the 12. Please come see me live on tour, joeyavery.com/live. Thank you to everyone who came out in Chicago. Y'all were the best. That was so much fun. Baltimore this weekend, Edmonton, Portland, Vancouver. Y'all are coming up. I'm going to put the I Made a Mayor of Portland video. I'm going to put it in here at the end. Tons more tour dates, joeyavery.com/live. Enjoy the Mayor of Portland to play us out. We'll see you next week. Hi, I'm Joey Avery, and I'm running for mayor of Portland with a simple plan. Ban houses. We wouldn't have a homeless problem if you patriarchy-loving racists would give up your classist hate boxes. Portland is a town of specific freedoms. You can shoot heroin in a tent across from City Hall, but if you even try to pump your own gas, that's considered a crime against humanity. Speaking of crimes against humanity, we have more Nike employees than a Chinese preschool. Funny that Phil Knight named his book after their work-to-lunch schedule. Everyone knows it rains a lot here, but the real source of our many rivers and lakes is groundwater, from lesbians getting wet every time they fire up a Subaru. That's not the gayest thing about us. We also love the MLS. Portland struggles with its identity. It's very liberal, yet filled with country clubs, completely white, but obsessed with racial injustice. A beautiful city with horrible weather. It makes sense why it's so liberal. It's the nation's first trans city. I'm as Portland as it gets. I've deep-throated a penis-shaped voodoo donut, let my balls slap a Schwinn during the naked bike ride, and spent years pretending the Oregon Ducks were an actual NFL team. But there's one thing I haven't done yet. Made my return to Helium Comedy Club. That changes October 9th. Thank God